Welcome in, guys. James Phillips, Brian Hale here. This is our DME PrepZone Southern Orthopedic Game of the Week preview show. Brian, Game of the Week this week is Jasper traveling to Russellville. It's going to be a big game. People will get our predictions in a little bit, but what do you think just early on? What's this game going to look like?
Well, the dynamics obviously changed with Russellville losing last week. Otherwise, we would have had another super showdown. Still, it doesn't really matter because Russellville is still going to try to play, obviously, to try to get that first place position still. They lost the game last year. That's going to be some motivation. But at the same time, Jasper's got a whole lot of motivation. They want to repeat as a region champion. Plus, they kind of had a little bit of an off week against Lawrence County, and you know, Coach Moore's going to be riding the backs of them all week long to prepare a lot better.
Right.
So I'm expecting a really good game, but as of right now, I'm still thinking that it's probably going to be Jasper, another repeat win.
Well, Jasper ranked number 1 in Class 5A. They're ranked number 10 in the overall power poll by AL.com. And then they were the first place scoring offense, first place scoring defense in Class 5A. So you got to think they're looking to improve on those numbers. Mm-hmm. And going to Russellville could be a statement game for Jasper, too.
I think so, absolutely.
Well, coming up, we'll have Coach Moore in here, and we'll have a couple of his defensive players talking to you, and then a couple of the offensive players talking to me. Mm-hmm. And we'll break down the game with Russellville and talk about just the season overall and how the Vikings have done. So we'll be back in just a few moments, and we'll see you then.
Well, welcome back in, everybody. And now we have Coach Moore along with two members of his defense here. Coach, their names have been called a bunch of times on broadcast this season, but go ahead and introduce the guys and what role they play on your defense.
Sure. So to the right of me is Jacob Danner. Jacob is new to Jasper this year, but has really in the last few weeks gotten going for our defense. Matter of fact, led us in tackles a couple of those weeks and has become really a force. He moved really last year. He played to the boundary, which our defense is set up field and boundary, and he's had to play the field this year, which has put him in more space. And so he's having to learn to kind of play in that space. And but he's had a great year and is a great asset to our program, both on the field and off the field. He's a high academic guy and really does a lot as far as leadership. And I've been really proud of him. And then Brody Benson. Brody is our nose guard. Played a little bit of defensive tackle last week. Has really done a great job. He's another high academic guy and is one of the leaders of our defense. So I brought the Brainiacs with me this week, and they just been really solid and has really, you know, this year, not really to get ahead, but 5 of the 7 opponents have not scored an offensive touchdown against our starters. And they have a lot to do with that. We've been really consistent. These two guys have had a lot to do with that, so I'm just proud to have them.
Yeah, and they had quite a challenge this past week. Lawrence County has extreme athleticism.
They do. And
they can score from virtually anywhere on the field, and these guys didn't allow an offensive touchdown. So I know you had to have been proud on that particular effort that there wasn't.
Well, and they threw it 43 times. Well, they called 43 passes. 2 of them were scrambles. They were 17 of 41. And so it felt like they were staying on the field a good bit. But ultimately, when it got to be 3rd and short or they got in the red zone, they couldn't score. You know, and that's because we gave up like 25 yards rushing and really got after the quarterback. We had like, I think, a dozen hits on the quarterback, and they just really did a good job. Really pleased with the effort of our defense. Again, it wasn't perfect, and our back end's got to play a little bit better, but that was the first time that we've been challenged in that way with those athletes. I think top to bottom, that was the best skill we've played this year.
Guys, it's got to be a point of pride for you all to not be giving up any offensive touchdowns in so very long as a starting unit. What's your thoughts on how you guys have played this year?
I mean, yeah, it's we take a lot of pride in it. I mean, that's just what we are. We're high motor defense. Really, we go in, week out. We give all our effort, and we don't like people scoring on us. we're a really emotional defense, so we just don't like it. Stingy defense.
No, I feel like we just get out there and play to our best of our ability, and that's what that's the outcome.
Well, Coach, obviously this is going to be another really big test this week. Russellville, they're another team that's very, very, very capable. Defensively, you guys are going to have to absolutely stand it up and shut them down as quick as possible and get your guys' offense back onto the field.
Well, that was one thing I thought, if there was one negative from Lawrence County, we didn't get off the field enough. The first few drives they snapped it a lot in the first half compared to just 3 possessions for us. A couple things had to do with special teams that we'll talk about, but obviously, we've got to get off the field. Russellville's quarterback is probably better than Lawrence County's. He can really run the football. And so what happens is basically they sprint him, move him around, and when they get in bad spots, he extends plays and he extends drives. And this kid, in my opinion, is better than the kid they had last year. The quarterback now moved into them, I believe from Muscle Shoals or somewhere, and is just able to, again, keep them on the field with his feet. And they do a really good job with their scheme. John Ritter's a good football coach. They have a really good offensive scheme. They're not real complex. They do what they do, but they do it really well.
Well, guys, obviously you're going to have a challenge once again with another capable offense this week. Brody, as the nose tackle, you're going to have to get up there and disrupt the timing of those guards. And Jacob, I'm sure you're going to be looking to put down some running backs as quick as possible. What's you guys' assessment on the challenge you're going to be facing this week?
I mean, up front, really we pride ourselves on winning the line of scrimmage. Every down, we try and set the entire offensive line a yard deep, 2 yards deep into the backfield, whatever, getting off blocks and just really, like you said, disrupting the guards, pulling, and all of that. So that's what we have to do up front.
I feel like they do have a good quarterback and a good running back, but it's going to take all of us doing our job.
Well, guys, obviously you know what's on the line, so we're going to wish you best of luck. Hopefully, when it's all over, said and done with, our buddy James will be interviewing after a good victory. So good luck to you all on Friday night.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be back shortly with another segment, so stay tuned.
Welcome back in, guys. James Phillips here, and I'm joined by Coach Moore and a couple of the offensive players. Coach, if you will, just introduce who you got with us.
Sure. So to the right of me is C.R. Wallace. C.R. is our center, and C.R. is a guy that has just really stepped up for Ryan Pugh. That was the thing. I worry about quarterback, and I worry about the kicker, and I really worry about the center.
Right.
And, you haven't noticed him at all this year.
Right, and that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you start noticing the center when he's selling a ball over the quarterback's head or something like that, and he's really done a great job. CR is a guy that is extremely disciplined. He started this season, it's been a big storyline for us at 330. And is now down to 290. I mean, how many teenagers can lose 40 pounds?
Right. Yeah.
But he needed to. He needed to, and his whole family committed to it, and he got his weight where he can move, and has really, really been good inside. And it's funny because I mess with Ryan because Ryan's helping us coach. I say, Ryan, we don't even miss you, babe. But CR's done a really good job, and we've been fortunate with 2 years in a row of having exceptional centers. And then Carson Alvis. Carson was a tackle last year, started 13 games at tackle, and moved to fullback this year and tight end. And we kind of play that role, he and Andre Neal together. And Carson's done a great job. It was different game one, just his growth from Coleman to now, because it's just so much more on you, when you're having to line up. And the fullback is the most versatile position in our offense. I kind of cut my teeth in coaching that position. And it gave me, I was able to learn the blocking schemes as well as the routes, and because he's a hybrid guy. He's going to be in that box and blocking a lot of the time, but he's also running routes. He's also, in the run game, blocking in space. And so Carson's done a really good job with that as well.
Well, and we've seen Carson catch a few balls lately for sure.
A massive one against Clay.
Yeah, a huge catch against Clay, and then he had a great juke move at West Point, right?
Depends on whose perspective that is.
Right.
So he's done a really good job. He's got good hands. We noticed that actually we took him last year to Decatur to a 7-on-7 as a center.
Right.
And we were just playing around throwing and everything, and I noticed that he had good hands, and Carson's a good athlete. And so that really helps, that position, to be able to bang in there and move defensive tackles and ends, and then also slip out in the flats and catch a ball. It's just big, and he's been able to bring a lot of versatility to our offense.
Well, last week you guys had a good offensive showing against Lawrence County, and these two guys had to have a lot to do with that blocking. because you ran the ball for, what, 400 yards? in the
Yeah,
game?
yeah. Well, we didn't execute really well in our throw game. You know, we were 9 of 13 passing, but we just felt like with limited possessions, you know, sometimes the game dictates what you do.
Right.
You know, like most weeks, even against Central Clay on the road, we've thrown the ball and you know, ran all of our packages and done all the things that we like to do. And in that game Friday, we just felt like we couldn't push out the lead. And so we were going to run power, you know,
Yeah.
and you've got to have a night where you do that. And we ran it, I think, 51 times for 420 yards, you know, and that's 8 yards a carry. That's and you know, Caden went off. Caden had 17 carries, 207 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He should be the player of the week in everybody's. I mean, he just balled out, and then JC had a good night, and Parker even ran for 30 yards the other night and got loose on a couple of scrambles.
Right.
But our offensive line played exceptionally well. I mean, they really graded high. When we went yesterday and had their staff meeting, they all graded really high, and they were physical. And, you know, I think, you know, we created a war zone out there, and that's kind of what we wanted. You know, we wanted to beat people up physically and just keep leaning on them. You know, and it was funny, I was talking to Mr. Allen, our principal, this morning. We were talking about, you know, why did Caden and JC have the night they had? Well, because they played for 4 quarters, A, and they hadn't done that a lot this year.
Right.
And B, at the end of that ball game, we scored 21 points in the 4th quarter, and all of it running. We just decided this is what we're going to do, and then those backs kept wearing on them, you know.
Right.
And I think that can be our MO as we go forward. I mean, we need to throw the ball well, and we held up in protection fine. We snuck Carson out a couple times, and you know, we got the ball to different people. But ultimately, we're going to have to be able to line up and run power.
Well, you guys have done that several times. Probably in almost every game, there's been a drive where it looks like, whether I don't know if that's been the intention or not, but it looks like you guys said, we're going to run the ball every play and we're going to score a touchdown.
Well, you know, Coach Bailey will go there. You know, I mean, like he's an O-line guy, and so when it gets tight, you know, he's going to put it on these guys. You know, he's going to put it on our 4 senior offensive linemen, and you know, and we're just going to line up and run the football. But that's the difference. You know, when you have a night where you're off, you know, and if you can't run the football, you're going to lose that game.
Right.
But if things aren't going well, line up, hand the football off, lean on your offensive line and your backs, and find a way to win.
What did you guys think about Friday?
Yeah, I thought for us, at least as the O-line and as an offense, I thought us being able to run the ball, I thought we did a pretty good job of that. And I know there's obviously still things we got to get better at, but I thought overall, I feel like we played pretty well and we were physical up front and just kind of dominated the line of scrimmage all night.
I think we dominated the scrimmage, line of scrimmage big time, and there's a lot of stuff we got to work on, but ran it good.
Well, Carson, how did you feel starting the season at fullback, never playing that, and where do you see your growth at now?
I mean, I think I've gotten a lot better. It was a big change going from right tackle to fullback, but, I mean, now I know, like, the play is just really good, like knowing where they're going, and then being able to know where I'm going, the tracks, and just being able to block them.
Well, and on top of it, too, like, not only does he have to know what to do, he's got to motion a lot. You know, we use Carson, and we don't tell him where to line up. So
Right.
basically our offense, as you know, with Stone playing it, we give the motion, and they have to finish based on the play.
Right.
And so, like, our tailback and our fullback don't have a pre-snap alignment. Like, they have to know. And so that was a lot. You know, that was a lot on him, and we asked so much of that, you know, with our fullback. And then on top of that, Carson plays tight end as well. So he's got to know the front stuff plus the fullback stuff. And so when Andre's in, we kind of mix and match there. And so it's a lot on him,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. CR, did you have a lot of pressure coming into the year, who's Coach Pugh now, I guess, filling his shoes?
For me, it wasn't a lot of pressure just because I had, like, with Coach Pugh being there for us, it actually helped me out a lot. He helped me out a lot, like, understanding the position and especially helped me with my snapping because it was rough in the spring. But with Coach Bailey, too, and Coach Moore, like, they just made me feel like, you know, I was going to be able to play it. So it didn't make it feel like it was a lot of pressure. But also, Ryan's was an exceptional center last year, too. So I also knew that was a big spot for them, something they didn't have to worry about. So I just wanted to try and step in and make sure I helped out. And I didn't want to be the glaring weakness on the O-line.
Right. Well, talk about your weight loss journey a little bit, too. I mean, like Coach said, there's not a lot of high school kids who are going to lose 40 pounds. That says a lot about what you wanted to put into this year.
Yes, sir. It was just, I knew going into the year, I told myself at the beginning of this year, I was like, this is my senior year. I've played football since I was 5. This is like, football's been what I've loved, and I knew this was going to be my last year playing. And I was like, I don't want to have any regrets at the end of the year. So I knew whenever I started out that I was going to have to do it. It wasn't going to be the most fun thing to do, but I also knew that the reward is what's happening right now, being able to go out there and be able to move around a lot better and be able to help the team out.
What'd you do to lose the weight?
It was honestly just more of like eating healthier, like a lot of grilled chicken, salad, and stuff like that. And then the workouts, I didn't have to do, we work out so hard and stuff that it was kind of easy we sweated and so much that it was just kind of like, I was burning calories that way, and then I would stay and run some, and I would work on my snapping then because I knew I was playing center, so I'd start working on my snapping, and for a bad snap, I'd have to run, and then just doing stuff like that, and then staying disciplined, and then throughout the summer, the heat and everything helped me burn some more calories too. So.
Well, it's 99 degrees out there, and we go like 28 periods, which is over a 2-hour practice. And I look out there, and Ryan charts every bad snap. That's his job.
Oh, yeah.
So with Colin or CR or Dawkins, whoever's playing center, and then he'll have them running extra.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like we've already run, we've conditioned, we've practiced forever, and then they're still out there running, And that's when
Right.
what changes programs is when kids do extra.
Right.
That's when it changes, is when it's just practice is not enough. CR not only does that, he watches all kinds of film. See, on our program, I can tell who's watching film on their own.
Right.
And his is off the charts,
Right.
And that's why, because he knows he's a smart kid, he's disciplined, and football means something to him. And he's really been the linchpin. He and Drake and some of those guys have been the guys up front that have kept the whole thing together, and they've played well every week.
How much do you think that discipline that he showed wore off on the rest of the team?
I think it has to. When you see somebody that's driven in the weight room, and all of our guys, like the other three here, we asked to gain weight. And that takes discipline too, believe it or not. When you're a teenager, sometimes it's hard to gain weight.
Yeah,
They burn calories so fast, some of their bodies are different. And so I tell them you got to eat like it's your job. Well, CR was the other way. And we've had Dalton Dawkins, we cut his weight, because again, we've got to get them to a certain spot, but it takes a tremendous amount of discipline to do that.
I don't think most people understand the nutrition aspect that you have brought to the program. Even like when a church or somebody is feeding you guys before a game, you handle that menu. It's not like we just let them throw potluck out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the missing piece for a lot of programs. I think that programs lift now. Lifting is a big deal. Exercise science, the science behind it and everything, I think Philip Bailey's exceptional, but this the nutrition part. We had 2 goals this year in the offseason, our nutrition and our academics. And now we have a director of academics, and we eat every day at 3 o'clock with Raising Arrows, and we just, we're not going to allow weakness in our program, and every year we're going to evaluate it and say, this is something we've got to do better, and our nutrition was one of those this year.
Right. All right, let's move to Russellville really quick before we go. It had set up to be another huge game. We were hoping to call it a game of the century number 2, but of course they lost this week. How does that change your team's mindset when you're facing a team you thought was going to be undefeated and then they lose a game?
Well, I think first off you got to know, they were on the road when they lost that game.
Right.
And Hamilton's a tough place to play, and they had 5 turnovers in the game.
Right.
So, do I think Hamilton is better than Russellville? Probably not. They're probably maybe similar. I don't know. But I know that Russellville's got a good football team. They were 6-0, 7-0 coming in that game, whatever. Number 3 in the state. I mean, they got a really good football team.
Right.
A team that came over here last year, and we just played really well in that game. But
y'all jumped up on them quick last
year. We did, and we shut down their running back. That was a really good player. But ultimately, we've got to show up and play better than we did Friday. But this is a massive game on the road, one that if they can win it, keeps them in the region championship hunt.
Right, and it kind of threw off. This won't be for the region championship now. You guys have to win this one and the next one, which might be good for your team, maybe more motivation.
Well, I think so. I think that, you want to, what I didn't want to do, which is what the fear was last year, is win the region championship against Russellville and then the next week not have a lot to play for.
Right.
Because at that point in the season, that would be like week 9 or whatever, you can't have a letdown at that point because you're going to the playoffs on a bad note. And so I'm happy that we've got to play 2 tough opponents. I think we need to continue to be challenged.
Right.
I think that's good for your program. You don't want to just walk through the region. Russell's going to challenge us, and then obviously Hamilton will as well the next week.
How about you guys? What do you see on film out of Russellville?
Well, we haven't got to much of it yet, but I know from what I've seen so far, their D-line, they're very explosive off the ball, and they're kind of smaller than some of the people we've seen, but they're still very explosive and quick, and they're quick twitch, as we like to call them. They're fast off the ball. I've seen their nose guard. He's explosive with his punch and everything. So, and their linebackers run well too also. So we know that, And I've also noticed they like to blitz a lot. They blitz a lot against Hamilton anyways. So that's going to be huge for us this week, mostly just mental stuff, especially if they bring a lot of blitzes on our picking that up on the pass protection and stuff like that.
Right. Well, with them talking about blitzes, that's where your role comes in a lot. So what do you think about that?
I think we're just going to have to be calm, do our job, and stick to our assignments.
Right.
And just, it's about us.
Well, and keep playing physical football, I guess, is the thing.
Well, and we'll prepare. You know, they do blitz now. That is, probably like, 60, 70% of the time they're going to bring pressure. And that's what they want to do. They want to create the action. And, Coach Bailey and Coach Dar want to do a good job, and Ryan, of helping with that. But that's a fear always. But we've got, again, with a senior offensive line and really good offensive line minds up there being able to handle it, hopefully we'll be okay. But I know the games that I've seen, those guys weren't okay. Corner was not okay in that game.
Right.
They had like 15 negative plays, something stupid.
Yeah.
And so we've got to do a really good job of handling stuff for sure. And like Carson said, being calm, man, and just kind of letting it develop and not panicking and just being patient, and hopefully you'll pick it up.
Right. All right. Hey, good luck, guys, this week. Hopefully y'all come out with a win and play for a region championship the next week then. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a moment. And Brian and I, with the rest of our staff, will be doing our picks for the week. We'll see you in just a minute. Hey, guys, welcome back in. James Phillips is here, and as always, I'm joined by Brian Hale, Jonathan Bentley, and Jeffrey Winborn, and we're going to talk some high school football bracketology, for lack of a better word, right? Since high school playoffs will be coming right down the line, we'll talk about that before we go into our weekly picks. So, Brian, let's go over just each team, who's in, who's out, and then who's our bubble teams.
Okay, well, first off, who's in? And before we preface any of this, there are a few of these that could change a little bit, but for the most part, I'd say probably 95% of this, we've already got this nailed down. But this is kind of just an overview. It'll pick up a lot more as we go on and a lot more things get figured out. But the first two, obviously, is Addison and Jasper. Both of them are in. Now the question is where are they going to be for the playoffs? Do they be at home, or are they going to be on the road? That's what they've got to figure out. Now, who's out? First and foremost, Meek, Lynn, Dora, and Curry. As of right now, unless there is some kind of a whole lot of shakeup, it could happen with Winston County. There are some teams that could end up, if they lose, there are multiple teams that could have 4 losses. And then it's going to be tiebreaker bedlam.
Right.
So if that happens, I would say it's probably about 1 in 300 chance somewhere in there it could happen. But for right now, we're going to put them on the who's out list.
And I think you didn't mention Summerton Christian.
Summerton Christian's also out, yes. Now, as far as who's on the bubble, first and foremost, let's take a look at Carbon Hill. Carbon Hill is 2-3 right now in the region. They do have a big win over Greene County, which is one of those teams that is also playing contentionally. Now, Carbon Hill's big thing right now is their next opponent. They got Gordo. Obviously, everybody knows the big beast that Gordo is. They'll end the year with Holt. That's the good news. But unfortunately, for them to play their way into a playoff situation, they really need to have 4 wins on the year, and that's only going to come from beating Gordo and Holt.
Right.
So
I think there's a way that they could get into a tiebreaker situation.
it's going to be a little bit tough because unlike the situation where Winston County is in, there's not that many teams that are below that point like it is with Winston County. Everybody's kind of, there's a surefire rank up there, whereas over in the situation with Winston County, you've got establishment up there with Aliceville that nobody's touching. And then below that, you've got Sulligent. And below that, you've got a whole lot of teams. So it's kind of more defined in Oakman's region. A little bit different. But anyway, Carbon Hill first has got to conquer Gordo before they can get into that situation. Cordova's next. And for Cordova, it's simply put, all they have to do is win out. It's simple. I mean, they win their next 2 games against Oak Grove and Haleyville, they're in.
Right.
They're in as the 4th place team. No problem whatsoever. Corner is the same way. They have to beat West Point, and then they've got the toughest challenge in it in Lawrence County. If they can get both of those, they can find their way into the 4th place spot. So that one's relatively simple. Lynn has probably the toughest challenge of all of them. And it just starts this week. Before we can even discuss it any further, they have to beat South Lamar. JB,
Yeah, that's what it
South
looks
Lamar has only lost to one team, Pickens County, by 3 points.
That's not happening.
Yeah, that's not happening. So, Oakman to get in, they cannot clinch a home playoff berth. But to get in, they're going to have to beat Greene County. Now, of course, beating Hale County this week will mean the difference in between 3 to 4. But locking up a playoff spot, they've got to beat Greene County. So if they can do that, they're in. Then it's just a matter of if they're 3 or 4. So
They're going to be on the road.
yeah, they're going to be on the road. So that overall, I believe, it takes care of our 5 teams on the bubble.
Right.
You've kind of got some that are going to be a little bit easier, and then you've got some that really need a whole lot of help.
So who do we think out of the group here, who do we think has the best chance out of those bubble teams to make the playoffs?
Cordova.
Cordova, yeah.
Well, Oakman also, because all Oakman's got to do is beat Greene County, and we know Greene County's had a lot easier of the schedule. And I mean, they played teams like Holt and like Hale County way in the early part of the season.
They had a front-loaded schedule.
And Carbon Hill got Greene County relatively easy. So, I mean, I think Oakman and Cordova both make it. I'd give them right now, I'd give them solid Bs. Lynn, sorry,
That's
F.
a very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not happening.
I think Carbon Hill, if they beat Greene County, what they have to do is finish in a tie with Greene County.
Right. And if they
So,
beat Greene County,
If Greene
Carbon
County
Hill's
just
going to
keeps
be
losing,
pulling for Oakman.
yes.
Like,
now,
that's the
Oakman,
big
they
thing.
could, yeah, that happens this week, they're done. That's
Yeah.
finished.
But Carbon Hill's also got to be Gordo.
No, they can finish tied for 4th, I think.
Yeah.
If everything falls right, they just got to finish tied with Greene County. But Greene County's got to lose out,
Right.
and Carbon Hill's got to win out.
Right. And if
Now,
they,
it might come down to a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
and
it comes down to
If they're in a
tiebreaker.
2-team tiebreaker, they won't make it.
yeah.
Right.
They just got to be one-on-one with Greene County since they beat them.
Right.
That's the only way.
Corner, what do you think about their chances?
I mean, obviously this week I give them a really great chance of winning against West Point, but against Lawrence County, I don't know.
That may come down to the game of who makes it into that final slot will be the corner West. It may be a playoff game right there, because I got to see Lawrence County this past week, and they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
What's a shame is this going to come down to a game like Hamilton, where they lost with 5 seconds to go, and that's
Right.
going to keep them out, something like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. All right, hey, let's go into the picks for this week. How about that? We told you who may be in the playoffs. Next week we'll have a much clearer view, with it being the last week of region play. We'll know pretty well who's in and out, or who has to play their way in next week for sure. This week, first game on the schedule, South Lamar at Lynn. Brian, you just talked about it. This is going to be a tough one for the Lynn Bears.
That's being nice.
Okay, we're going to have to do like the all in favor of South Lamar. Okay, we got that one. Here's another one. Meek at Marion County. Marion County? Amen. Winston County at Southeastern. This could be a decent game. This is where you're talking about if Winston County could pull off a win here, they might look a little better having Summerton Christian coming up the next week. So who thinks, what do you guys think, Winston County or Southeastern?
Well, just momentum-wise, obviously right now, Winston County hasn't won since the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
So you have to give that to Southeastern. Southeastern's got it at home. They've already shown that they're a pretty good team. So I think on top of that all they've got to do is do what other teams do, stack the box, shut
Right.
down Owens. You know what the path of victory is. Until Winston County can change that narrative, I'm sorry, I've got to go with Southeastern.
Yeah. Coming into the season, I thought this was easy, Winston County.
Right.
But, yeah, like you said, they haven't won since the first, I think it's 5 in a row they've lost, or 6. So that's tough, but I'll take Southeastern on the road.
I'm going to echo what Brian said. We've talked week in, week out about Winston County being one-dimensional. It's on the road that I just don't see them winning this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this one somebody might go out on a limb and say, hey, Winston County's going to pull one off, but I think Southeastern's got it too. We probably should have just went all in favor on that one. Here's another one, all in favor. Tharptown is going to travel to Addison. All in favor of Addison. Yes, Bulldogs win.
Yeah.
They take Tharptown to Thumptown. They should make T-shirts.
They should.
They
I'm
should make
telling you.
T-shirts. Corner at West Point. This should be a really good football game. And, you know, for Corner to even attempt to get in the playoffs, they've got to win this one on the road at West Point. West Point's got a good-looking quarterback that can throw the ball around the field. But Corner has played well the last few weeks. Got two rivalry wins and region wins in a row now. I think Corner's going to pull off the upset here.
I think Corner's got it also. I mean, they've got a good quarterback as well. I mean, you've got another Daniel out there that's at quarterback. He runs it. He throws it well. No problem whatsoever as far as the quarterback battle goes. But I think Corner's got some intangibles. They've got some guys that are rising, and I think they take this one.
Yeah, I mean, Corner hopefully has righted the ship at this point. I just want to see them make the playoffs after that. They've had so many injuries, and, you know, tough losses. But it's going to be tough at West Point, but I will take Corner.
I think Corner, since that Dora game where they got back on track, they've got some momentum. I think they're going to pull this off. It'll be close, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Carbon Hill travels to Gordo. Gordo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to, but yeah.
We may want to do that for this one, even though I think it's going to be a really good game. Dora at Hayden. I just think Dora, the injuries have piled up, and I think it feels like they've given up on the season. And I hate to say that about my alma mater, but I think it's happened. I think Hayden wins this game at home.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot closer because, I mean, Dora last week, they fought all the way to the end. It was still a very competitive, close game. So I do take Hayden in this, but I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be like last week, where it'll be like a 17-14 game, 17-10, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dora's really, they lost to Jasper. I don't know if that's the reason. Well, it's injuries also.
Injuries.
And just haven't won a game since. Who would think we'd be sitting here talking about a 2-8 maybe Dora team?
Yeah, because they never came back. They never bounced back from that Jasper loss.
Yeah, but
and they did play well last week, and that game was back and forth. But they can't seem to find that way to win.
Yeah.
You know,
they lost 2 games, 28-21 this year, both region. I mean, that changed everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not taking them this week.
Dora's starting to fall in that category with me of you've got to show me you can win, and that's a team that has just struggled this year. Y'all talked about it, injuries. Ever since that Jasper game, they just have not been the same team. I'm gonna go with Hayden, and I don't agree with Brian. I don't think it's gonna be that close.
there you go.
Not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend. How about Oak Grove at Cordova? I think we probably can all in on Cordova.
You know, Oak Grove's only won one game, and that was against Curry, and I mean, they just,
That was terrible.
they haven't shown me anything since.
Blue Devils are looking good right now, you know. So
You called this from the start. You said they're
I
gonna
called
go
it from
on
that
a
Oakman win.
winning
They're going to
streak.
finish off with 5 wins in a row. Now, they may make me look like an idiot and lose to Oak Grove, but hopefully not. Oakman at Hale County. This is very interesting because it's former coach at Oakman is at Hale County now, Coach Hastings. And so you know that his kids are going to be playing hard to beat his former school. And Hale County's had a couple of good games this year where they've surprised people. They could win this game, but I'm going with Oakman. I think that they'll have just more firepower than Hale County.
Well, they've had some surprising games, and they've also had some defeats by blowout also.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the more stable here. I think Oakman got back last week with that really good win over Lamar County. I think they're ready. I think they go in there and win pretty handily over Hale County.
Yeah, I agree. But Hastings, he beat Carbon Hill because he knows those kids. Now, he knows these kids even better. Their only win is Carbon Hill, actually. But I think it's going to be like his first year at Oakman where he won 1 game. I think that's what Hastings will do. So I'll take Oakman this week.
This is going to be one of those really fun storyline games. You've got, like you mentioned, the former coach going up against his former team. I think Hale County's going to play hard. It's at their place, but I agree with Brian. I mean, Oakman's just more stable. You've got Christian Hubbard in the backfield. They're going to win this game.
Okay, I don't know if we've ever picked 2 games at the same time, but that's what we're about to do. Aliceville at Summerton Christian and Curry at Good Hope. All in on Aliceville and Good Hope. Okay, good. There we go. Game of the week now, Jasper at Russellville. You know, this was lining up to be a Game of the Century Part 2 kind of thing. We had the number 1 and number 3 teams, everybody undefeated. It's going to be for a region title. And then Russellville goes and screws all that up. They lose 17-0 at Hamilton to a Hamilton team who they've only lost 1 game this year, but they lost to Hayden, and they've barely beaten, you know, a ton of schools. They've barely beaten Cordova. They've barely beaten Dora. They barely
All
beaten
at
Corner.
home.
All home games, yeah. So Jasper at Russellville is not as pretty as it was going to be, but it's still a good football game. And I'm guessing, we're filming this on Monday, I'm guessing Russellville's still going to be ranked somewhere in the top 10.
I would think so.
But I think Jasper wins this game, and I think they'll win it. They had a bad game last week. They didn't play very well. I bet that's out of their system. And I think the Vikings win by 3 scores.
Well, remember the last time that Jasper had a game that Coach Moore wasn't happy about their performance? What happened the following week?
Yeah, it was a shellacking.
Yeah. I think Coach Moore, the rest of this week, absolutely put scorch marks on those guys' backs as far as getting up and down the field and performing a lot better. Jasper comes out and blows the doors off of Russellville.
Yeah, I think Russellville kind of, maybe they weren't that great to begin with. We need to do a whole show on Hamilton though one day.
Yeah.
They don't lose at home.
No, they
period.
don't.
So they go in there, Hamilton's still alive for the region, and then it's 17-0. They shut them out.
Russellville, I've said all year, they weren't as good as they were looking on paper because they played the bottom half of that region at the first part of the season. Now they're coming in and they're playing Hamilton and Jasper and, the teams that are the better teams. And I think that's where we're seeing who is the real Russellville team.
Yeah, so I think you're right, 21 points.
Yeah,
at least.
this game's not even going to be close. Jasper's going to go in and just blow them out. I don't know if we're going to see every player on the field, but we're going to get pretty deep in the depth chart again.
Yeah, I'd like to see Stone get in the game at least.
There you go.
There you go.
Get a few tackles. And I think Russellville, can't forget, Jasper blew them off the field last year. So Russellville wants this game. It is in Russellville, so they're going to get a little home cooking for sure. But I think after the letdown last week, that's the difference, and that makes the Vikings come out and really want to get this game and get it under control quickly,
Do we need to get Coach Moore back in here to tell us not to be pouring on the rat poison?
I'm sure he will once he watches this. Yeah, he will for sure.
Sorry, we got to call it like it is, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, anything else this week?
Well, not that it really is that much of a big difference, but it's Alabama-Tennessee week. Does that really mean anything?
All for Alabama?
All in for Alabama right here. Here we go. I hate Tennessee. They are low down.
They snitches.
They are snitches.
Phil Fulmer.
They got that orange. It's not that good orange. It's that puke from a pumpkin orange.
It looks like a trash man convention.
Yeah, the Neyland Stadium looks like a trash man convention. And you mentioned Phil Fulmer.
Yeah, Phil Fulmer is quite enough.
All their quarterbacks, we don't like them.
No.
Right.
I'm indifferent really to Tennessee. I don't like Tennessee, but I don't care really about Tennessee.
Auburn fan.
I don't like Georgia more.
Right.
I don't like Tennessee.
Let's all laugh at Georgia this past week.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was nice. I was glad to see that.
That was good to see. Who's Auburn playing this week?
They're off this week. No,
Where
Arkansas, sorry.
They might as
They
well.
might as well be off this week.
So they had 2 bye weeks.
Then they got LSU, so yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Hey, we're shaping up for Game of the Century Part 2 here in about a month.
With Alabama
and
LSU.
LSU. This is going to be fun.
Jeffrey was worried about LSU over the weekend. He was telling me they're beating Alabama, and then he's kind of retraced his steps on that.
Well, after seeing what Florida did to their defense, and I don't believe in Florida's offense that much.
Right.
But it's still going to be a shootout. And to say that game is a shootout is
that's rare to say.
Yeah.
I still say Alabama wins by 2 touchdowns.
I don't know who's going to win, but I think it's going to be a score of 48-45.
Didn't we have a 6-3 in that series once? Or something?
It was 9-6.
9-6.
That was the last time LSU won that game.
Yeah. And it's not going to be 9-6 this year.
No.
But we say that, and that's when it'll come up and be 3-2. It'll look like a Braves score. And of course, the Braves would have been 2.
Yes, they would.
All right, well, guys, thanks for hanging out for a little while and picking some football games as always. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you Friday night at the football fields.